Hello guys, this is Jeff. This is the bottom line. Thank you for joining my channel. I'm going to jump right into this. This is part 3 of the So You Want a Wife segment. And so I'd like to touch base on this as quickly as possible. I got about 13 minutes of video recording time to be able to do this. So the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is also, right? So as we start to manifest our reality of our future and our legacy, first, God would like me to remind you guys that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are precious in the eyes of God. God only made one of you. Okay, so let's try to move forward diligently as best as I can into the message. And I want to talk specifically to you guys out there who really don't understand your worth. You really don't understand how precious you are. So back in the day, say like the 1500s, the 1800s, we had lords, right? We had like lords of the house where they'd be like, which house do you hail from, right? And so those houses were based on the men who, were the leaders of those households. That's because diligently we actually came from biblical times, through the lineages up to this point, and people more back in the day understood the policy of being a man and upholding a household, right? And so what that meant was that a man actually was the head of the household. And so when they say, what house did you hail from, they would know that it would be the man's name, and that would be the person who was, in charge, and the person who ran the household, and um, was the head of the household. So I want to talk about this specifically because, again, so a man thinketh, so he is also. A lot of men nowadays, you don't understand your position in the household. You don't even understand your future position in your future household, of with your soon to be wife. You don't understand your future position for your future children. A lot of men don't even understand that you are literally carrying around your legacy within your loins, the fruit of your loins, right? You're carrying around your whole family unit with inside you. A lot of women nowadays, modern women, they're going to try to deprioritize. They're going to try to cancel out the worth of a man. Okay, this is what society has done. They have tried to take away masculinity. They have tried to cancel out and deprioritize men. The problem here is they try to act like men are not the prize. And there's Gerald. That's my boy. Um, Men are absolutely the prize because, again, we carry around the fruit of our loins. We carry around our offspring within the fruit of our loins. And so women, and the reason why I'm saying this is because we would be nowhere without men. And we would be nowhere without women, but we'd be nowhere without men. And a lot of women, if you understand the psychology of a woman, a woman actually wants to get pregnant. They actually do want to have children. A good woman wants to get pregnant, and especially a good Christian woman, she'll understand her place in the world and her place in God, right? So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I want to touch base on what it means to be a man and the head of the household. God specifically says this in the Bible, that the man is the head of the household, the woman is the helpmate, okay? And that a woman is actually made to come alongside a man. If you look in Genesis 1, it says that he caused the sleep to fall upon Adam because he saw it was not right for man to live alone. And so he took one of Adam's ribs and fashioned Eve. So he literally took Eve out of Adam to come alongside of him so he wouldn't be alone. So society has kind of squandered the specifics of what it means to be in a relationship, the specifics, but they forget the basis of Genesis is that a woman is made to be a helpmate. She's made to be alongside a man. And so specifically, God has preordained you as a man to be the head of the household. It says that the man is actually the Christ head. So what that means is that the order of things is that the woman is submitting to the man by being the helpmate. The man submits to God, right, as the Christ head. In other words, that we are under submission to God and his authority. The Bible tells us to love our neighbors. We love ourselves, our future wives, and our wives are our neighbors. Or if you're a woman, your future husband, or your husband is your neighbor. You're supposed to love your neighbors. You love yourself. So there's an equilateral, there's an equal conviction of the spirit, there's an equal librium that happens spiritually between you and the other person. But however, it says that the man is the covering for the woman and God is the covering for man. So, but specifically, a woman is called to be a man's helpmate. So as you start to step into your masculinity as a man, as you start to understand who God is, as you start to thirst after righteousness, and that's the key, as you start to thirst after righteousness, you want a woman that's going to come alongside of you and want to take her place alongside of you. She's not fighting for the place of authority. She's not fighting for a place to push things. She literally understands her place, and she wants to uphold a household. She wants to be a wife. She wants to have children with you. She wants to bring up children with you. But I want to specifically, again, talk about how it is, guys, that you're choosing these women. Because here's the problem that we have nowadays. We have Jezebel spirits. We have all different types of spirits in the world. We have all different types of women that are worshiping the wrong things in their heart. And as a man, you, again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is also. You are diligently responsible to give yourself the dignity, okay, of finding a good wife by discerning her behavior. You need to be discerning of a woman's behavior. And I touch base in my other videos about, kind of understanding the humility of a woman, how men, we chase after women specifically because of their sexual prowess, because of their sexual nature, because of how they look, like, oh my God, she's so hot, she looks so good, right? Oh my God. But we really don't look at every aspect of that woman. So again, I know I've said specifically a lot, but specifically, a woman has a period every month, okay? And so this actually, her whole life is dictated around this period, around her menstrual cycle. It alters her her energy levels, and as a man, you need to be aware of this, of when she's ovulating, when she has her period, her energy levels, to know when she's going to be at her best. For you as a man, as the head of the household, to know when you're supposed to cut her some slack, as well as when you're supposed to be diligently, having her help you do the things that you need to do. So that leads me to the point of this video, and I know it took a little bit, but a woman is called to be a helpmate. So as a woman is called to be a helpmate, if she is not showing the fruits of the spirit of being a helpmate, if she's not showing up ready to help you, and I mean this specifically, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, okay? Again, you guys, it says, and for this is what the Bible says, and for this, for a man shall leave his father and mother and cling to his wife in spirit and in truth, and two flesh will become one. People were getting married back in biblical times because a man was supposed to cling to his wife, cleave to his wife in spirit and in truth, and two flesh will become one. So what that means is that she puts him as the head of the household. She's ready to be a helpmate. She comes alongside him, basically like what needs to get done, helping you solve problems, especially in today's day and age financially. She's not trying to see what's in your wallet so she can see what she gets from you. She's not trying to manipulate. She's not trying to use her sexual prowess to get things out of you as she's talking to 5 to 10 other guys. No, she's actually looks at you. She sees who you are. She sees your worth. She sees your value, and she knows that you're going to be the father of her children someday, right? And so specifically, guys, you need to be looking for that helpmate personality. You need to be looking for that helpmate fruits of the spirit when you're discerning that woman, when you're vetting that woman, right? And so what happens is we go so often than not as men, we go on and we just look at a woman, we're like, oh my God, she's so hot, but we're not vetting them. So you need to have these conversations with your girl, with your potential dates. You need to have these conversations, what they're into, and I know this is controversial, but what they're into, especially if they're not a virgin and they've had other people in their lives, what they're into sexually, what to see if you guys are compatible. Now, I'm not saying jump in the sack or have sex, but you want to see if there's compatibility there. if what you enjoy as a person, especially if you, and this is just a 98 percentile, in society, has had sex, they know what they like, they know what they want. And so you need to make sure that there's compatibility, because sexual compatibility is important within a marriage. It's what holds you guys together. It's how God designed the two flesh to become one, is to actually have sex. And so as you're having these conversations, you need to be talking about everything. You need to be talking about being the head of the household. You need to be talking about how you can, better your life, how you guys can better each other's lives, and then know what she's like as a person. So many men out there are specifically going after women only because of the sexual prowess, only because of the sexual factor, but they're not taking into account who they are as a person. So they overlook the red flags, and they overlook who the person actually is, and they just keep dealing with things rather than seeing their worth as a man, knowing that they're going to be the head of the household, that you are going to be a lord. I mean, you understand, you're going to be the person who's in charge of that household. Now, this isn't, again, misogyny. This isn't a way to bulldoze your soon-to-be wife. This is just the way, biblically, what it means to be the head of the household, because you're the Christ head. Remember, you're called to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And it says that wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as it is fitting in the Lord, and husbands, love your wives as Jesus loved the church and gave himself up for her. So there's an equilibrium that happens, right? But you, as a man, you're called to be the head of the household. So you need to be aware of time and energy. You need to be aware of how you spend your time and energy, and how adamantly things are pursued, because the man is technically the driving force in the relationship, to know where to go, what to pursue, how to run the household, how to get the family, and the woman is the helpmate, right? The Bible says she's the weaker vessel. She's called to do the smaller things that the guy, even though he can do, it's easier for her to do, so he can focus on the bigger things that require more physical strength, or that require more of a physical labor. And so I'm not saying that women can't do that, but I'm saying that it's just typically proven. Men have denser muscle and denser bone density. So God bless you guys. I hope you got something out of this video. I tried to cram it all in a lot, but I'm going to be making more segments like this. Remember, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. God only made one of you. But please diligently discern that woman. Vet that woman when you're meeting her, when you're talking to her. Talk about everything under the sun. Talk about everything from sexual interest to political points of view, to how you guys feel about people, because you guys should be having a kingdom mentality. And we're supposed to be promoting loving your neighbors, you love yourself. And a kingdom mentality, and you being the Christ head, you being the leader of the family, you being the head of the household, and her specifically falling into her calling as being the helpmate. So that's what you're looking for in a wife. Three-parter is your helpmate. And remember, there's nothing wrong with that. Society will try to make you feel like that's not right, that's not correct. We are not called to be alongside a woman or called to be her helpmate.